Welcome back, everybody, to the Mystery Machine for Scooby Snacks and Chats here on the Brazilian Dragon podcast. It's spooky season. Happy Brazilian Dragontober. It is officially October when we are recording this, and I am the Brazilian Dragon Felipe. I am not a zombie, but I am here joined by one of the fiercest women in television, a better journalist than Daphne Blake herself, Quei Tann. Quei, how are you doing, Queen? Welcome to the Brazilian Dragon.
It's October 1st. It is the start of spooky season, and I am so excited to be here, Felipe. You have no idea.
Yes, I'm so excited for you to be here as well.
I found Scooby Snacks and Chats when it was last year. I was really down during the strikes, and I love Halloween. I have a passion for it. I've done some Halloween TV shows like American Horror Story, and I did this really gay Halloween movie called They Slash Them. The non-binaries are out to get us. And I really needed, I feel like for me, nostalgia, I know it makes so many people feel good, but it really makes me feel good. Makes me feel like I'm, going back home. And I don't have too many great memories in my childhood, but one of them is watching Scooby-Doo, and specifically the 90s version of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. And I watched that, and you and I met. I can't believe how the cosmos brought us together. You came to my queer and trans open mic, and I noticed your voice, and I was like, wait, because I didn't just watch the episode. I kept listening and listening and listening. And I was like, wait, I know this voice. And I absolutely lost my shit. And I said, wow, I am such a big fan of yours. And we've been friends ever since.
Yes, that's so funny. I actually was doing a deep dive. I was like, has Quay ever before we met IRL, have we ever interacted when you were doing your deep dive? And I found a tweet from you where you tweeted at me and was like, when's more Scooby-Doo podcasts? From November or something last year. And we met must have been late January, early February. And that's all thanks to the woman icon legend herself, Tangela.
Yes.
Who told me about this mic, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna come to this. So yes, I'm so excited for you to be here. Thank you for checking out my podcast just on the interwebs. How did you find it? You were just Googling?
No, I was just on Spotify, and I was like, is anyone else speaking about the brilliance of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island? And yours did. And there were a couple other Scooby-Doo podcasts, and I just didn't connect with them. I didn't really like their voices. I really love your voice, and I love Kate, right? Kate?
Yes, that's back when the early days when Kate was here. Kate's the best. Shout out to that queen.
I really love both of your voices, and you really just reeled me in, and I really just wanted to stay in that place of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, because it's only at 130 minutes or 120. And I just really wanted to stay in that place, and y'all allowed me to do that, and it was fun. And then I just liked listening to you talk about other Scooby-Doo shows that I had never watched before.
Yeah, no, I'm so grateful that our lives cross paths. That was such a wild time for all of us when I recorded that podcast, because that was January 2021. So that was right at the kickoff of the Scooby-Doo podcasting journey. I had just started the podcast in May, and Kate and I were friends. We had met in college, and then during the pandemic, we did a lot of those Netflix parties. I don't know if you were ever on the Netflix party, which is basically everyone watches it on Zoom at the same time, and then there's a live chat. And so we watched Tiger King, we watched all sorts of stuff, but then Scooby-Doo, I think it was What's New Scooby-Doo, was on Netflix, and Kate and I were just watching Scooby-Doo late at night regularly. And then we did the first Halloween Town movie, and I was like, wait, we should just do Scooby-Doo. And so that's where the origins kicked off. And until Kate went to go move across the country.
Work for Barry.
Yeah.
I know the lore,
I'm
babes. I
surprised.
know the lore.
I'm surprised you and Kate have never crossed paths. I mean, LA is a big city, but we will
Yeah,
make the connection happen. You and
that'd
Kate
be
will
amazing.
be in connection. I will make it happen. But
I'm
yes,
it's so funny. Like I've just stressed, like I'm a really big fan. I know like now we're friends and we know each other, but like I'm a big fan, will always be.
are you gonna expose me for the shenanigans that I pulled when I booked the escape room on the wrong day? Because we were gonna do a Scooby-Doo escape room, and I messed
Yeah.
up. And I make fun of guests at work all the time who have like, I'm like, these morons booked the wrong date, and then I pull that move on you and Tangela and Alexa. But we hung out at the mall, so that was fun. But it did bring
That
back
was
memories
fun.
for you.
It did, it did. I just think you're so it was really funny. Wasn't I about to go film The Equalizer with Queen Latifah? Or did
Yes,
I was
you
about
were
to
like
do
about
that,
to
yeah.
go to New York, yeah,
I was about to go to New York to do that, yeah. So I
yeah.
was like really busy and
And
then
you were
like
also
I
like
was
gonna, didn't you like
gonna buy
perform
a
stand
house.
up? Oh, yeah, that too, yeah.
Oh yeah, and I had to do stand up as well.
While you were in New York, you were like gonna do multiple shows, so you were like also stressed out about like you had a booked trip about to happen. You were about to buy a house, yeah, and you were like, "Let me go make time for this Scooby Doo escape room because I love Scooby Doo and I love the podcast." And then my dumbass had to mess up your plans, but we'll go
It's
do it. We'll complete it
fine.
at some point. I would love to see Tangela in an escape
I would
room.
love I would actually love to do it now. I'm
Yeah.
like, I have so many, I have like a mortgage now, so like don't have a lot of money to for discretionary things. Actually, I have two season passes and two flash passes to um Six Flags,
Ooh.
and Scooby Doo is there. So if you're interested, you are
Yeah, let's
welcome.
do it. I've never been to Magic Mountain.
It's amazing. But
I
okay.
my Yeah, but so anyways, so you mentioned that you grew up with Zombie Island. Do you have like a strong recollection of like the first time you encountered it, like the passion that you felt for it at the time, your reactions as like a youth watching it for the first time?
Yeah, so I want to say that I was somewhere between the ages of, because it came out in 1998. I was born in 1995. So 6, 7, 8. So I was 3 years old. But I want to say I probably watched it between the ages of like 5 and 7, or it could have been later. I know I watched it on VHS. Thinking about something being on VHS itself is just like grounds me in a time that was, it was a very different time, and I had a very different view of the world. I remember, I don't know who this woman was, but my father, one of his many partners, I was at her house and she had a child, and I had really long hair at the time, and I just remember watching it, and it was my first actually, because someone actually asked me what was the first horror film I've ever seen, and I've done horror projects, and
Yes.
this is the first one. This is a true supernatural horror. And what I loved about it was I loved the subversion of this was the way it was presented was this was the first time there was ever a supernatural occurrence in Scooby-Doo. Or this is the first time that I guess specifically the bad guy was like actually a zombie or, you know,
As
some sort
opposed to
of
like
creature.
science. Yeah. Because like a lot of the Scooby Doo's is like, oh, it's someone in a contraption that they've built. And this
Right. A
one was definitely
mask.
like, yes, and this one was very much like, oh no, the moon controls these zombies. Um, and so when you were growing up watching this movie, did you resonate with a specific member of the Scooby Gang in particular? Was it the core five that you loved?
Always Daphne, not even close. I've always wanted to be in television. Honestly, specifically television, not even movies. I've grown to have a love for film, but really, there's something about TV. And Daphne, her entire appearance, I love red hair or orange hair. Really, Holly Bailey, Little Mermaid. I love that suit, that pantsuit,
That pantsuit
and
is
just
fire.
is fierce, the purple, and it's so great. And just to see her be a professional woman, I just felt like that is what adulthood looks like for me. And to be able to, to go from like, because I've always had this thing to where it's like I watch television and I'm projecting, manifesting myself for people to be watching me.
Mhm.
So it isn't about being a fan, it's about learning something so that I can hold the mic. And to just see her, because typically it's at the end of a movie that you see the character tell their story and they're like, and this is what I've been through. But this movie starts off with Daphne, and she's telling her story at the very beginning, and she's being celebrated. And Daphne Blake, and I love.
I feel like you should dress up as Daphne in this movie because I feel like you would rock that outfit. I can see the vision. Maybe for like a spooky mic.
Actually, I need to get that Halloween costume. I told you I don't have discretionary funds, but I'm gonna do it. I'm
Wait,
doing
wait,
it.
I think you absolutely should. Now, if they ever reboot the Scooby Doo franchise, I know at one point they were talking about like a Riverdale Scooby Doo type of thing, which
Yes.
I don't know how I feel about that completely. But would you have the desire to be a Daphne Blake,
Oh my God, I would
or maybe the
play any
villain, or like
the me, the villain?
yeah, yeah?
No, I
Oh,
would I would love to play. Oh, go ahead.
you said you would play anything. Would you play Scrappy Doo if that was like the only role they would let you be there? Like, we have one role left. It needs to be Scrappy.
I love Scrappy. I know people don't like Scrappy. I have to go back and watch the film, the live action film. It's been a very long time.
Same.
But I have to go back and watch it. But I love Scrappy because I watched a lot of a pup named Scooby Doo
Hmm.
early mornings as a really young child. Before I watched On the Island, I would watch a pup, and Scrappy was in that. And Scrappy was not, he was not he was a popular character. He was super cute and
Hmm.
adorable. He was even smaller then, and I would totally play Daphne. I would play any character. There's been a lot of these shows, like for example, Gossip Girl, that I
Hmm.
grew up and I loved so much. And I was absolutely crushed when I didn't get the role. The role of one of the roles, the role I auditioned for went to one of my dearest friends, Sion Moreno, and I love her so much. She played Luna La, and she absolutely smashed it. My heart, like when I watched it, I didn't even want to play Luna. Like when I watched it, I was like, I want to be Monet. Like I was talking to my agent. I was like, you need to be sending me out for the right roles. Like I want to be, I'm like, And so anyway,
Yeah.
but I just, I've auditioned for a lot of remakes and I haven't gotten them. And so I would do the Scooby Doo audition and I would be in shambles. Like I literally would be in shambles. I would kill it. I would put in an amazing tape, but I would cry the whole way through and I would be like, they're not gonna cast me.
Honestly, it would be so disrespectful. Like, you are an icon. I just actually finished the first Gossip Girl for the first time ever. I had never seen it. What are your overarching like original Gossip Girl series takes, if you have anything, as a
So
quick
you have
aside?
here's the yeah. And I have another aside about Scooby Doo too, but
No, you go wherever you want to
but it
go.
relates. The thing about Gossip Girl is because I did revisit it, shit, maybe like, excuse me, 10 years
You can swear
ago.
on this podcast. I don't care.
Okay. Well, I revisited 10 years ago and um it was awkward writing, awkward acting. It really was a moment. It really was like a moment in time.
Hmm.
And it has to, I have not rewatched it, but it really like exists as a moment in time. Whereas I watched Melrose Place in the 2010s. That's obviously something that came out in the 90s, Aaron Spelling. That's something that I feel like it is a time capsule and while yes, it gets very wonky at the end, and the first season is a mess. After you get past that, after you get to the sweet spot, it holds up. I feel like Gossip Girl. Well, you have to tell me. I only rewatched like the first couple of episodes, and I was like, "Ooh, this really doesn't hold up." I
So
was really watching this as a seventh grader. Very different outlook, very
yeah.
different taste.
So my experience with Gossip Girl is I watched it in like I'd say 4 chunks. I watched the first season and I was like, I don't get the hype. Then I did season 2, 3, and half of 4. Binge watched that. I was like, oh my god, this is cinematic. Then I did season back half of 4 and front half of 5, and I was like, okay, I'm a little lost right now. And then season 5 and 6, very convoluted, very wonky finish. I definitely think it went on a little too long. I feel like every single show, my big takeaway, especially these 6 season shows, the best seasons are 2 and 3, and then seasons 5 and 6 always go off the rails because I'm a Gleek. This Is Us season 5 was really wonky. Granted, they were going through the COVID stuff and they had a lot to do in season 5, but I feel like seasons 2 and 3, when the show really finds its footing, it really takes off. And that's like just a general thing I've noticed lately. But yeah, Gossip Girl was really spinning its wheels at the end.
Well, you know why that is.
No, spill the tea.
So I was on your favorite show, not your favorite show, but some people's listening's favorite show, How to Get Away with Murder.
Yes.
And I came on the sixth season, and everyone was like, "You're holding us hostage. Let us
Oh,
go." And the reason they're being held hostage is because
contracts, right?
when you sign on to these network shows, at least back in the day, you sign to these shows, you have to sign for a 6 year season. And what it is that it's an option to renew for 6 years. So if it doesn't
Mhm.
go, they'll cancel it. But if it's popular, they don't want to have a popular show end in 3 seasons or 4 seasons. They want to milk that baby so that it can go into syndication. Once
Mhm.
it goes into syndication, that means it's sold all over the world in all these territories, and that's when you get that money. That's when you get
Yeah.
those really big residual checks. And so, that's just the nature of the business. And they're like trying to figure out, it's no longer a creative endeavor. It's like, how do we continue to push this and get people to come back from the commercial breaks? And because you're
Mhm.
not watching it with the commercial breaks, you're not getting the that cliffhanger. That's how they're
Yeah.
writing it in those later seasons. And then the first season, baby, the reason the first season is shit is because not had Murder had a great first season, but the reason why these other shows have like a shitty first season is because they they just did a pitch. They did
Mhm.
like a pitch, and they were like, "This is what the show's gonna be, and it's gonna be cunt, and we're gonna have Blake Lively, and she's gonna be, talking about people's pregnancies or claiming people are pregnant when they're really not." And you hear about her saying the T slur. We're gonna have Blake Lively saying the T slur, and it's gonna be cunt. Just trust us. And then they have to like figure it out as they go along because there's so many
Yeah.
moving parts to a TV show.
For
So
sure, yeah, and also like that's why I really love seasons 2 and 3. It's like okay, because you got through the getting the series on the air, getting everything through, and now you're like starting to get to know your actors. You're starting to figure out your process, and that's why I feel like seasons 2 and 3 is when the writers start to be able to blend the character in with who the actor is, and they're able to like more naturally, like I always feel like there's an improvement in the quality of acting between seasons 1 and 2 just because it's a little bit more natural. It's a
mm,
little bit more like real to who the person is behind the character as well, like because they can write for them. And then season 3, that's always like a big contract sort of like a lot of people will exit shows after season 3, it seems like Taylor Momsen, for example. um
oh, I
I,
really another reason I really love Gossip Girl is because I read a little bit of the books, and you couldn't get
yes.
me to read a book as a kid, but I read um, a little bit of the first book, and then I read a little bit of the spinoff, the Carlyles, and growing up poor and wanting to achieve success and and live the high life, I I really drew a lot of inspiration from those stories, and they had queer representation, queer characters. And as someone who was, really uh ostracized for being queer, for being trans, it was so really it was and I hate when people talk about representation, because within the industry, when people talk about representation, they're talking about, we're going to hit these demographics so that we can make money. But on the other side of that is, the representation really did mean a lot. And it's nice to know that even beyond the financial motive, when I am doing that, when we are doing that, it does serve someone.
No, and I agree with that. It's like I don't love talking about representation when it comes to like what corporations see as representation, but like in terms of individual impact and what seeing people
Yeah.
like you in your life on screen, not just like in media, but like for me, a lot of like me feeling more comfortable being bi was like, oh, I'm meeting a lot more bi men, and it's like normalized just through like in my 20s it felt like a lot more normal because I was like meeting people from all over the country and all over the world on Zoom, and it's like, oh, this is normal. It's like realized for me, and like for me also like Wizards of Waverly Place was groundbreaking for me because it's like Latinos on TV, George Lopez show also. So like I love what representation can mean, but I don't love how like
Hilaria Baldwin.
yeah, yep.
Latina excellence.
Yep. Yeah, no, but it's interesting to see this. And then have you checked out Velma at all, speaking of representation?
Have I checked out? Of course, I'm a messy bitch who lives for drama. Of
Yeah.
course, I checked out Velma, and I also checked out all the think pieces on YouTube and everything. Um, for me, I hate the art style. I know people actually, one of the things they love about it is that they love the art style. I love that they were willing to go rated R. I just hate that they went in this direction that was unserious. Because I felt like they could have went in a very, I think I was just reading some comments about it, and they were like, and this is why I say I'm pro Riverdale, just not created
Yeah.
by that man who created Riverdale, but I'm pro I'm pro this version, this dark version of Scooby Doo, where it's like they are just solving. It's like an Agatha Christie. They're solving real murder mysteries, and I would love, as an adult, like I would love to be able to watch that and to have these types of stakes. I think that that would be awesome. It doesn't have to even be live action, you know. I would love to see that, but I just feel like Velma, they were just really are or were interested in explaining explaining how did Scooby come to be. It was a brain transplant, and I don't know, they just kind of got I don't know, it just kind of went into a direction that it didn't have any relation to the Scooby Doo that I know.
Yeah, it felt like it was this whole different show using Scooby-Doo characters, which I want. I
Yeah.
it felt like it was like, oh, this original pitch that they tried to shoehorn Scooby-Doo characters in. Um, I and use IP to like get people to be hooked on it because I know a lot
That's
of
what
people
they
compared it to
do.
Harley Quinn, which people love. I've never actually seen it, but I was definitely disappointed. I actually haven't seen the second season. The first season I watched, and I was just like, "What the hell is this?" I
Why
was
the
so
fuck would I
excited by
watch
it.
the second season?
If I am absolutely out of shows or I need something on in the background while I'm making dinner and I like don't even watch it and it's just like behind me because I don't know, that's the only reason why I would ever watch it. But I have better things to watch, like your comedy sets. Um,
You're
you,
funny.
you mentioned you mentioned you're a Halloween person. What
Mhm.
are what is like? Do you have any like traditions, whether it's just like a personal tradition or like favorite candies that you always got to like get a little bit of some? Like what does Halloween mean to you as a spooky queen?
Mhm. Um, Definitely the candy for sure. You gotta get your candies. I already got a head start. I got my peanut brittle and my key lime truffle from
Mhm.
Steve's Candy. If I do want to go corner store, I will get a Heath bar. Um, I have to go to an amusement park. That is what I have to do. I loved trick or treating. I think the last time I went trick or treating, I was 13 or 14. My uncle took me, and I was like, oh, I really am too old for this. Um, and so I'm like, okay, so definitely have to figure out new traditions. There was so many years, definitely in 2016, around that time where like I wasn't going to the amusement park or to a haunted house, and I was like, I really want to do that. Why don't I do it? And then 2017 would come around. I really want to do that. Why don't I do that? And I think definitely once I did the artist way, which is eat, pray, love, but for artists. And I talked about nurturing your young child. And so that's why I have the flash passes.
Mhm.
I have the mortgage now, so and a lot of things I have to pay for the house, for my house. So I don't have the funds
You
that
got them responsibilities.
I have like real responsibilities. But what I did 2 years ago was that I got a VIP, not not priority lane access. I got a VIP tour during what is it called? During the Halloween Horror Nights at Universal
Ooh,
Studios. And I took this boy that I thought was bisexual. Maybe he is bisexual, but he is not into me.
his loss.
I know. It is what it is. But anyway, we were in the VIP area in this tiny little room, and out pops, we turn around, not even out pops, we just turn around and we're just in this little tiny room with Shawn Mendes. And again, I'm a messy bitch who lives for drama, so fight me if you want. I literally gagged, turned around, ran upstairs with the guy, and I was like, that's our bisexual king.
Have you told Tangelo this story?
I don't know. She loves Sean. He's a cute little white boy. Sean. Well, actually, so here's the thing about Sean. So Sean was actually super tall. So I didn't know anything about him. I saw it was so strange. I like the world works in strange ways. I was like, I started therapy around that time, and I started seeing images of him around Los Angeles. I was like, oh, he's fine. And um, and then I saw him there, and he's so tall, and he was so cute, and I was really living. I gagged. I played myself though. I needed to have stayed there, and then like, you need to. That's Sabrina Carpenter. I didn't even know who she was at that time, but that Camila. Oh, actually, he had just broken up with Camila, or they had just broken up. That
Yeah, you should
Camila
have been like
Cabello.
Normani, because justice for Normani.
Wait, they were together?
No, 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 no. Camila
Oh,
was
and
racist to Normani back in the Fifth Harmony
oh, well,
days.
so was Sean. He was racist to everybody.
I don't know too much about him outside of the music that I like that he does, but like I know everyone calls him a bisexual king, and I'm like, hello, I am
I don't
the.
think he's I don't think he's bi. He's not out. He's the one person. Now we're getting off into another tangent. So I'm anti the Harry Styles or anybody who's
White
like
man with a
playing a
guitar.
gay.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
anybody who's playing a gay role
you mean
or
gay for pay,
is
but for mainstream movies.
gay for pay. Anybody who's doing that kind of stuff, and they go, oh well, you don't know that they could be queer, you have no idea. No, 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 baby, if you're in the closet, that's not what you do. You do not appropriate a whole culture whole marginalized culture for financial gain if you're in the closet. People in the closet are terrified. They're shaking boots. Shawn Mendes, Shawn Mendes is that one to where if you said you don't know, I would shut my ass up because Shawn Mendes could, and I'm not saying he is, but he could really be queer. And so I know I talk, that's what I said, but as I think back on it after, yeah, I just started therapy at that time, but as I think back on that 2 years later, I am very protective of him, and I understand he goes through a lot of, he deals with a lot around
Yeah.
his, just whatever. He deals with a lot around his whatever.
I feel like the actor who could come out as a bisexual king that could heal a lot of bisexual male trauma is Andrew Garfield. I feel like he's like a positive
Ah,
representation if he were to come out as bi. I don't know what he is, but he'd be like a little fruity, like and he says he's very pro bisexuality, at least as like in this press tour with Florence Pugh,
I'm
because
tired of him.
you're tired of him.
I'm tired of
Okay,
him because he got
let's
the
the
gay
let's
he got the gay blowjob scene with Daniel Craig. I'm tired of it. If you're not openly gay, you don't need to be. If you're not openly gay, openly bi, openly queer, you don't need to take openly queer roles. Because let me tell you this: do you straight men get to play the straight roles and the gay roles, and gay men get to play nothing.
mm-hmm.
They get
Unless
to
you
play
make
nothing.
the only people who do are the people who are making the stuff, like Brian Jordan Alvarez and Billy Eichner, and like these people who are like making their own content. But like outside of that, you get
And they're
crumbs in
and
the
they're
industry.
a hot ass mess as well. Billy Eichner is a hot ass mess. Anyway,
Mhm.
but we're here to talk about Scooby
Scooby
Doo
Doo.
on
Well, I have
Zombie
one more
Island.
tangent for you. It's
Oh,
related to
okay.
Scooby Doo.
A
Now,
Tangela tangent.
no, I love Tangela. Love Tangela. But you love the camp. You love the mess. You also love the traders. How would the Scooby Dang do on the traders?
Oh. Damn. Well, see, I've only seen the two US seasons, and I need to get into the other. See, I'm a xenophobe, so when I hear those UK accents, oh no, actually, I did see one of the UK. I did see one of the UK. I saw the first UK season, and that man who was having a panic attack is so fine to me. I heard he's on Love Island, but I refuse to
Oh,
watch it.
he do be fine.
He's so sexy. I was like, literally, like, what? I'm so happy that it clicked and the entertainment world put him on something else. So anyway, I I think that they would do very well. Obviously, I would want them on there in the way you would have like the housewives on. Like you
Daphne
have,
would fit in.
yeah, you would have all of them on. It wouldn't just be them playing traders against themselves. You would have all of them on.
Mhm.
I think Daphne would eat it. I think Daphne would eat it. I think Velma. I think Velma would do well, but I
I
think
think Velma would
Daphne.
play herself out and would get murdered by the traders at some point.
That's true. She would either get murdered by the traitors, um, or I just think that people would think she's so smart. She's so all knowing that I think they would just say she's a threat. We have to get rid of her, which they don't play the traders like that. They don't look around and say these people are threats and we just can't risk it. They don't play in the way that Big Brother players play. They don't strategize in that way, even though there are Big Brother players there. There just aren't enough of them there to play a
Mhm.
strategic game in that way.
Yeah, Sandra tried a little bit in this last season, but Mother can only do so
It
much.
You can only do so much, yeah. And I think she was blinded by, or she, I don't know. I think that, yeah, I think some of her, I don't know.
I feel
Anyway.
like I would love to see you on the Traders. I feel like you would be perfect for that show. Like of all the reality shows, I feel like Quay, I could envision you. I feel like I could see you getting in fights with people. I could see you calling people out. You would like have the good strategy, but then you would not be here for the shenanigans. You would call people out. Um, but I'm really
Yeah.
hopeful that we get a better outing for Bob on season 3 because justice for Peppermint.
I really don't like Peppermint.
Ooh.
Can I get up and leave?
Yeah,
No,
she's like,
I don't like Peppermint. Hold on, I'm trying to like turn this light off. Oh, the light one.
She's like, I don't like Peppermint. Let me leave. Let me leave and just leave it on that. That would be the ultimate cliffhanger. That Gossip Girl could never.
No, I don't. Met her once, and I was received as warmly as I wanted to be, and so I'm like, no, but I get it.
When I've interacted with people from shows that I liked, and I'm like, ooh.
And you're like, ooh, girl, yeah. What's the tea? And I was trying to, and when I like introduced myself to her, and I had met Valentina the same night, and I had introduced myself to her, and I was just like, oh, okay, I just wanted to let you know, like, I was like, hey, my name is Quei, and I want to let you know I'm in the industry too, and I'm trans, and we're doing a lot of the same things. Very nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you, girl. Very nice to meet you, girl. And then she would go, and then all the little white kids would come up or whatever, because it was after her play. The white kids would come up, and I had a lot to say. But then I had actually was seated next to Valentina, and Valentina and I spoke a lot that night. She had just been announced that she was going to do.
Also score.
No, not that long ago. That she was going to host drag race Mexico. Yeah.
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 Not me giving the credit to the colonizers first. I'm kidding.
Right, this is not all about Hilaria Baldwin. She's got her moment already.
That's a good callback.
So yeah.
Speaking of Gossip Girl, another Baldwin's on that show.
Oh, which one?
Stephen Baldwin. He plays Serena's dad.
That's right.
Wait, pause. Lily done pissed me off. Why are you going back to this clown ass man? Ivy clownery trying to play all these old men. I'm like, girl, they have like 25 years on you. They can see through you. You're not as slick as you think. But then Lily, who I liked for the most part until we got to the end game, I was like, you making me like Rufus, and how dare you? Because I hated Rufus.
Not the end game. You're so funny. Okay, I need to turn back on my electricity.
Sounds good. I'll be here.
You can pause or
now, Quei, you came with one goal in mind today. To talk about Scooby-Doo Zombie Island. Where do you want to start? So just for context, we did an episode on Zombie Island with Kate, Sarah, and Jess way back when. We're not going to go beat by beat recap of the movie. You can go listen to that one if you want like detailed plot synopsis. But I want Quei's thoughts on Zombie Island. And we can jump all over the place. It's very free-flowing conversation if you couldn't tell by the first 37 minutes of this podcast. But...
Well, before we talk about Zombie Island, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, we gotta go into another tangent. We gotta talk about
tangent.
The Tangela tangent. We have to talk about Scooby-Doo WWE. The reason I bring that up is because I am on the last episode of the Mr. McMahon documentary on Netflix, which is tea.
So. Spoiler alert, I'm releasing some of these things out of order. I just recorded the episode about Scooby-Doo and the WWE, and I was like, yeah. And I had no clue that Vince McMahon was like massively canceled. I did not know this man. Like, I just knew the name. I didn't know anything about him. I never grew up with the WWE. I was not a wrestling. I watched my first WrestleMania this year, and then my friend Ari, he was like, oh, we don't talk about him no more. And I yelped when I was doing the deep dive after the podcast. I was like screaming, this man is unhinged and we don't like him.
Yeah. So an interesting thing is that, so Netflix does this documentary. I mean, he's already, the stories have already broken and people know, but once Netflix does a documentary on you, it puts it into the zeitgeist. Mm-hmm. And so now he is officially, disgraced. And
it's about time.
And what Netflix doesn't tell you is they bought the right to WWE. And not only does this documentary talk about uh, McMahon, but it also talks about the history of WWE, and it gets you ready for WWE fights, and it shows you some of the new players because it will be back and it will be on Netflix. It is their first foray into sports. They are messy as fuck, and it also reminds me of when they did that comedy show, Outstanding, with the queer comics, and then had a whole segment about Dave Chappelle being transphobic, as if he wasn't transphobic on Netflix. Just absolutely unhinged behavior. But I'm here for the mess. I'm here for the mess.
Messes be wild. No, it's definitely interesting Netflix because they put things in the zeitgeist, but then it's like, how do we get this to loop back around to us and get more numbers? That's always the goal with them. I am curious to see now, since they're going to own the WWE, if the Scooby-Doo movies are going to leave Max to go to Netflix because WWE is co-production with them.
Oh no, that was just a crossover. They don't own it.
Well, it was a co-production though, because the WWE did like produce it with Hanna-Barbera, which I think was so interesting. John Cena, he was in that movie. He was like the main character. Also, the Miz from the Real World. I was like, what? He's in this movie. He's in the Scooby-Doo Cinematic Universe. Wild. I had a point about something related to Netflix and McMahon, but I forget what it was. So, yeah, are you? Oh no, I remember my point. Wrestling is drag for straight men.
It was so gross, seeing the way that they carried on. It is hyper masculinity. Really, honestly, toxic. Like, you know, toxic masculinity, toxic masculinity. It was really gross to see. And then to see how they rationalize it, to see how the women are part of it, who, you know, were victim to it, and also allies to it, how they rationalized it. That was really interesting. But yeah, definitely drag for
Did it?
straights. But I love. Have you seen the gay wrestlers online? Oh, so hot. You
I
got to
have
look up the
not.
gay
No, I gotta look that up.
bitch.
Speaking of Netflix, like being messy, didn't they like just acquire like some rights to like some Diddy documentary, or that they're
Did
trying to
they?
produce? I feel like they're trying to like produce one immediately. Like they're like, oh, how do we get on this?
Nasty. Yeah,
That's messy.
let's be just as quick as you want to make the documentary, be just as quick to stop him from doing all that
Mhm.
stuff. He was doing that stuff for so long. And also, I saw a video just a year ago of people on the news talking about we've never heard allegations like this before. Which, when you go back and look, that's not true. We have heard allegations like this before. Anyway, I may have not have heard it because I'm not so tapped into the hip hop rap of it all. Because I think of him back as being with Biggie and, you know, being with
Yeah,
Biggie
but
back
even
in the
like
90s.
even the Justin Bieber era was also like, because he like came
The
up in that scene.
Justin, but I didn't. When he was with Justin Bieber, he wasn't on the record. He wasn't in
Mhm.
the music video. So yes, he may have been. Yes, he was there, but he wasn't there. Me in high school listening to Justin Bieber, I'm not like, oh, did he? You know.
Yeah. Speaking of
But
Hilaria
yeah.
Baldwin.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it's
But on
Hillary
to Zombie
Baldwin.
Islands.
Yes. Okay, so where do you want to start with Zombie Island?
I'm gonna start with the freaking cinematic, the way that this is filmed, the right word. Now maybe it's because it's from the 90s, but when I watch this, I'm like, I love that VHS kind of overlay to it. I love that aesthetic, and it's like that's not an aesthetic way, like that's just how things looked back then. I'm obsessed. It has a look to it that looks, it gives it a horror look. It grounds it. It gives it this indie kind of look, this very A24 kind of look to me. Um, we start. So when we meet our characters that we've known for so long, that I was born into, we see them all on their own journeys, separate. And Daphne's at the height of her career, and Fred is with her, and they're together in their adulthood. Scooby and Shaggy, they seem to be working a you know a working class kind of job, and you would think that maybe they weren't happy in that job, but actually they describe it as the best gig ever. They're TSA agents. They work
Get
in
free food.
customs. They get free food, they eat so much, and that is what I love to see when I see Shaggy and Scooby. I love to see them eating. I love to see them eating Scooby snacks, eating, gorging themselves, and I love to see them just pushing the boundaries. Like that is my original mukbang guilty pleasure. I love it. And then we see Velma. We see Velma owning her own business, selling mysteries. And she says, I got that one. I got that one. I got it. I got it. I got that one. I got that one. Okay, you let me hold it till Tuesday? Oh, wait, the Tuesday after next? Okay, I can do that. And I'm just like, wow, just to see for me as a young person watching, and I'm like, what is my life going to be like when I'm an adult, you know? And to see that like they found happiness and I wanted to find happiness in all the darkness of my childhood, and to see that they found happiness was really great. And then it was also great to see them come back together, and they get the band, they get the gang back together, and they go on this adventure, and Daphne has this modus operandi of every time we do these adventures and we go on these mysteries, behind the ghost, behind the monster is always some dude in a mask. And they are setting us up because this time it's going to be different. And then we're hit with this montage, and it's called,
Carrot time again?
no, that's
No.
later.
Oh, that's later. Yeah.
It's called The Ghost. It's something The Ghost.
Um. Wait, I'm trying to music. Let me go to the music. The Ghost is here. Best guy
The
cycle
Ghost is
also.
here. Oh my gosh. The Ghost is here. When I tell you that music, and I bought it. I just bought it on Amazon. You're welcome, Bezos. I just bought I just went ahead and bought it for the 9.99 because I'm gonna watch this every year. I'm gonna watch this multiple times a year because that music is so wonderful to me. And I loved it. I just absolutely, I'm just like, I even got up and I danced, and I was just like, ah, yeah.
I love it. Yeah, some of the early Scooby Doo songs, bangers.
Oh,
Like,
and then after this, we get the Hex Girls. Oh,
yes. Oh, I think it's the Hex Girl anniversary. Let me check this
is it
out.
really?
Uh, it's today. Oh, almost. A few days from now, the Hex Girls debuted in The Witch's Ghost on October 5th, 1999. So
Wow.
we're close to the
Yeah.
Hex Girl anniversary. Now we eventually end up in New Orleans, right? Have you? Do you have
Mm.
any stories about your any adventures you might have had in New Orleans?
So, and this is where it starts to get deep because I'm a black woman, and black American people, uh, descendants of American enslaved people, is in the South. And so those Southern accents, my people came from the South, and they went up to California where we are now. When I see the South, yes, there's a horrible part of the South, which we'll get to with the Confederate soldiers and all of that, and the
Hmm.
colonizers and all of that. But when I think of the South, I also think of the most dense population of Black people in America live in the South. So I would love to visit New Orleans, and it's French as well, and to hear those Cajun accents, and to see. I mean, it was just so beautiful, and I was really entranced by the southernness of it all. And then when they eventually, when Lena has them get to the house, and I don't want to pass up Big Mona. Shout out to Big Mona, the catfish that the dude is trying to dude is trying to catch, the white guy is trying to catch. Shout out to Big Mona. But once Lena brings the gang to the plantation, to the mansion, um, and the pepper plantation, baby, something about me, and one of the only few things I like about my father is that he and I love spicy food. And when they were eating them ghost chili peppers and they were having, I mean, that's me. I would dominate hot ones. I love to eat spice. I love it.
I cannot wait
And
for when you get to do hot ones because it's gonna happen.
it's gonna happen. It's gonna be tea. Um, it's I relate. You're talking about relatability, representation. That was it right there. And then when they started eating those, they call them crawdad fishes. I've never heard it called crawdad. I just know it crawfish. But
Yeah.
crawdad fishes, they were eating those. I don't like crawdad fish, but I do love shrimp, and I do love going to the boiling crab or different type of fish places like that where they put your fish in a bag. I just fucking love this movie. Okay, love
I love that. I love this. Now it's a very interesting for me because the last time I had watched this movie, I had never been to New Orleans, and since then I have, and my life was changed for the better.
Wow, tell me everything.
I went for a Survivor event, of course. But I love that city. Like it was so fun. It's so vibrant. You can drink on the street. There's music playing everywhere. It's
Mm.
just like so colorful and enjoyable and humid. Like Swamp Ass is real.
Reminds me of my house.
Yes. Um, and yeah, it was just interesting to like be immersed in like a very rich and vibrant culture because like LA is its own beast, but like you can't really like LA. Actually, no, LA does have a culture, but like it doesn't have the same. Like New Orleans is so specific. There's not a ton of cities that have like such a rich culture of its own, that you can't just kind of like assimilate into whatever. Like New Orleans is New Orleans, and there's not like a lot of the other big cities. Like that's just kind of an amalgamation of American culture versus this is like, oh, this is a very specific
It's
location.
culture, it's history, it's food, it's cuisine, it's dialects. Oh yes,
Music,
music. Yes,
fashion.
okay. Speaking, and I've never, I've never been. I really want to go. I really have to go. LA, yeah, no, LA is so different because LA is an industry town,
Mhm.
and it is a town of make believe. And an eclectic town, just like you said. Uh, they used to call America a melting pot, but it's a tossed salad because we all maintain our individuality, but we are all mixed together.
And Fred loves to toss a salad.
I love, first of all, the Fred slander on this podcast.
Hey, to be fair to me, it was not often me.
Okay, okay.
I would
I
I
love
would enable
Fred.
it though.
I love Fred. Shaggy, I'm not into Shaggy. I was never into Shaggy because I'm not into the whole stoner kind of thing. I do like, I do like
You love a
you
himbo.
gotta, I like a himbo, but I like somebody that has determination and that is
Yeah.
really clear about, I'm going to make something happen. And not that Fred is necessarily that, but more so than Shaggy.
Yeah. Fred
Definitely.
was definitely one of my earliest bi awakenings. Like if I think back on it, Fred was someone that's like, oh, this guy is really attractive, like a cartoon character.
Well, I don't want to give Fred that much. My one first true love will always be Jaden Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. That is my man, always and forever. But Fred, I like Fred. I love the ascot. Um, but I just, yeah, you know,
We gotta do a
yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh! GX podcast with it.
that's funny. Maybe. So,
Yeah.
okay. So we're at the plantation, the pepper plantation. And I know we're not gonna go beat by beat, even though that
No,
seems
but
like
like
what I'm
jump around
doing.
to whatever you want to talk about.
I know it seems like that's what I'm doing, but I'm not doing that. But we get a couple of like we meet the blonde lady. What's the blonde lady's name?
So there's Lena, and then there's Simone Lenoir.
Simone Lenoir, Miss Lenoir. Please call me Simone.
Yeah.
Um, I, I, now here's where I think everything is cunty. And here's why I think this is a really great Scooby-Doo mystery. Because, okay, she says, or it is a, or we see, no one says anything. We see that there are, they say, Lena says the mansion is haunted, the plantation is haunted, right? And then she's like, yes, it is haunted. But she owns the plantation. She owns it. She owns the house. There is no tourism there, and there doesn't seem to be any motive for Simone to do any skullduggery. So when I see the supernatural occurrences happening, and when we start to think, okay, who is behind this? Who is behind this? Because it's one, you have the realization that yes, this is real, but it's still leading you to this conclusion that there is a big bad
Mhm.
behind this mystery.
And especially when you
And
get like, and we find out later it's the ghost, but when it says to get out, and we see things happening in the house, and there is still like the suspense, and then later the plot twist. But I'm gonna let you finish.
the plot twist, right? Taylor, I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had the best album. Okay, so Scooby Doo had the best movie in 1998. So, so when you get to the plot twist, right? And we're not there yet. I've jumped so far ahead. But when you get to the plot twist, and this is what's on the trailer, and Fred is trying to rip off the mask of the bad guy of the in the zombie mask, and he rips it off, and the whole head comes off. You soon realize this is real.
Hmm.
So you've already gotten to a place. You've already gotten to a place where you're like, well, that's it. The mystery's been solved. The mystery is these are actually zombies. This place is actually haunted. But contraire, monsieur, the real villain is Miss Lenoir and Lena and Jacques. Oh my God. The way that I gasped at the plot twist, I said, what? It was the original colonizer all along. It was the settler. You mean to tell me that the real villain was the settler from the beginning? That's giving me leftist politics, Hanna-Barbera. I'm living. And what's kind is that it's the Union soldiers. The Union soldiers. The Union soldiers came and said, now wait a minute now, bitch. You done came down here, you were doing motherfucking colonization. But now we've leveled it up. Anyway, to see the Union soldiers go from butchers and slaughterers of these innocent, lovely white people. And did you see how they ran them white folks, them colonizers, into the pond and the alligators ate them? And that's why there's no ghosts or zombies of Lena's people. Oh, they are mine. They are mine. So,
We love the
and
Union.
we they were they union? Oh,
I
they
hope
weren't
so.
union. Wait, yes, they no wait, were they union or were they Confederate? No,
They,
those were
were they the Confederate? I don't
I think they
remember.
no, so they would hide from Union. So they would hide from Union soldiers, but I think Moonscar was the Confederate soldier, no?
I'm looking this up
Morgan
right now.
McMoonscar? I gotta look it up too.
Oh no, it was the Confederate
Cause
colonel that was the good guys.
yes, see how they rewrite it. So, I'm okay with the layerness of it because he wasn't initially a good guy, right? He was, he killed them, and of course, killed black people as well, and native people, indigenous people, and then he killed all of them, and then he was killed, and then his spirit haunted that forever, and then he served as a warning for people to get off of the island. And I think to see that arc of his, to learn about that arc of his character, to see that play out, I thought was really rich. I thought that was really, thought there was a, I thought there was a lot there for a children's cartoon.
Yeah, I definitely remember um that it was more layered with like we talked about the plantation part of it earlier and how that it being the South and with the war, and I was just very I love how you're fanning yourself but with the magazine. I love it. It's too high. It's too high here like those ghost peppers. Um but it was a very layered film, and I appreciate Hanna-Barbera taking this swing because like a lot of these Scooby-Doo movies, they don't really have social commentary, but this one I felt like did.
Very much, very much so. I don't think there's a way to do a movie set in the South. I mean, people do it, I'm sure. But I think if you're being serious, there's no way to do it and to not, particularly if you're talking about, well, who would be haunting the island? Who would be haunting it? You know? And so it was nice to see. And they do bring up Union soldiers because where everything goes down is that it goes down underneath this passage, and and that is where they used to hide from Union soldiers. The Confederate soldiers built that passage to hide underneath it, which I think could be a plot hole because she said the Union soldiers built that. Oh wait, actually, I think. Hmm.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
I
because
was
they
not
said
taking notes this time. Last time I watched this movie for the podcast, I took notes. This time it just went whoop. I was just consuming it.
so. So things that happened. They colonized the island. The Confederate soldiers kill them, but then they also make the underground passage to hide from the Union soldiers. However, I think before they even do that, Lena and Miss Lenoir go underneath there to turn into werecats, which is another brilliant commentary because when we first get to the island, Scooby Doo has such a conflict with the actual cats of the island, the actual felines of the island. And that is something playing with, cats and dogs not getting along. But to see them tie this all back around to our main bad guys being were cats, they could have been werewolves, but they made them were cats. I just thought that was so beautiful. It tied back into Scooby Doo's story. And I just felt like they were not fucking around with this movie. I really feel like they really were like connecting all of the threads.
Yeah, no, they this is one of the best written Scooby-Doo movies, and it's not close. And that was a statement I
It's
probably
not
made.
close. Did you hear that? It's not close.
This was probably a statement I made back when I was originally doing this recap 3.5 years ago. I feel even more strongly now, having watched a ton of more Scooby-Doo movies. This is like in the top tier.
Yes, yes. At least top 5. At least top 5. At least. And that's including the live action.
Mm-hmm.
At least top 5. So I think that what another part that I think if you have to when you get into this is of course we have to talk about Bo. That's his name,
Yes,
right?
talk about Bo.
He's just he's fine. Fuck the police. Fuck the FBI, which he did to Martin Luther King. But Bo is fine. You know, civil rights will wait. Bo is fine. I'm kidding.
Now,
Bo is fine.
speaking of Bo, how do you feel about the very like the Lena Fred Daphne Bo sort of like shenanigans that happen throughout the film?
You know, I was not. I know when I listened to the episode that you and Kate did, I was not as offended. I think that grown people, and they are grown. I don't believe that these are kids in this iteration. That's another thing I like about this. They are very much so adult. They had careers and owned businesses. I think that, adults have, just the freedom to say, maybe it's a little open or maybe they're just dating, you know, maybe they're just dating. It could either be open or they could be dating. They never committed. So who knows? But also, it didn't even seem like it even went there. I think there was just a little bit of flirting, and I think Daphne shut it down. I think Fred shut it down, and they, ended up together. And by the end of it, you see, and I think this is why they do it. Bo and I would love Bo and Fred to be together, but Bo and Velma, they end on a little cute connection at the end.
Yes, no, I definitely I loved the little plot twist because that Velma doesn't get a lot of love in this franchise. Like we don't see her shacking up with many people that often. But yeah, we don't often see Velma get some. Now you have more comments.
Yeah, you follow Velma more. I really, she was always the glasses girl. I feel
Yeah.
like if you want to, I feel like if you want it, you got to go get it, girl. So I'm happy for her, but I don't infantilize Velma. She can shake that thing, and she can make it do what it do. She can make it do what it do. I don't feel bad for for Velma, but I'm happy that she ended up with somebody. I am. So we can't talk about this without the brilliance as well, because this is set in New Orleans. We gotta get into the voodoo child. We gotta get into the
Yes.
voodoo.
Yes.
The voodoo was so cunty. The voodoo dolls, I have never been introduced to that as an idea or a concept. That was the first time I'd heard of a voodoo doll. And to see it used and to see how it worked, this idea that you can take someone's a cloth of from their cleaning glasses or their ascot or a piece of their hair and put it on a doll and control them. That was just so interesting, and I just thought it just enriched the environment. I just think that they really popped off with the creation of this film.
Even with the wax dolls and like the ending sequence where they're like throwing each other and they're like melting the wax and you see them.
You see them
Now,
melting.
did you ever try to? I feel like you're a spooky girly, right? Did you ever try to put a hex on someone?
I don't play
No,
with that, because
no.
what Miss Seeley say, everything you do to me will come right back to you 10 times over. So that's the last thing you want to do. And even playing with like witchcraft and all that kind of stuff, I don't do. I put a protection spell on myself once. And what I learned about the protection spell is it'll give you something to be protected against.
Yeah, so you would have survived Zombie Island.
Ooh, I do not play with that. I do not play with that at all. I don't play with that. And I do, and I've been told that I don't know if you've seen Amanda Seales on her podcast calling Tabitha Brown a witch. She goes, "You're a witch. I just want you to know that." And Tabitha's really Christian, and she goes, what?" She goes, "No, no, no. It's a good thing. You're a witch." And she goes, "Okay, well, I don't identify with being a witch." She goes, "No, I'm telling you, it's a good thing." And she's like, "No, stop calling me that." But I've been told that I'm a goddess.
You
So
are a goddess. You're an icon.
you, oh, thank you. So I allow my power to come from there and not from witchcraft.
You are such a mother. Mother to all. Is that Willem?
That is Willem. This is his book.
Oh, using Willem's book as a fan.
Well, honey, sometimes it's just what's close to you.
What else do you have to discuss with this movie? Like, obviously, what do you think of like the animation of Lena and Simone and Jacques when they turn into the werewolves? Because I remember when I was a kid, this like really freaked me out.
It was very scary. Yeah, it was all very scary. They didn't pull any punches. They really went with the horror of it all. I really liked that they were very feline and they had two transformations. Jacques went full on transformation, but Lena and Miss Lenoir, their transformation was like, this sort of cunty cat kind of, and then they went full on beast. And it was really scary, and it was interesting to see. I also love the commentary of, you've been taught to hate these people, to be afraid of these people, these zombies. And it's when I think Velma says, the zombies are the good guys. Freddy, the zombies are the good guys. And, they finally allow the zombies to save them, to help them. And I just thought it was a very beautiful commentary. I think anybody who's ever felt, like they've had, there was preconceived judgment and notions and, felt like they were made to be a boogeyman. You feel that a lot as a queer person, as a Latin person, as a trans person. Everybody's supposed to be afraid of you. And so to see that, no, the people that you think are the villains are the good guys. And I love that.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's like the zombies are the good guys. It was like again with the plot twist, it not only has meaning in terms of the story arc, but it also has meaning of like, oh, don't judge a book by its cover sort of mentality. What else is in your notes? What else did you bring for the class?
The dog the dog will not eat at the table. Dog where? And I love that they treat Scooby, they give him his personhood so that Scooby is a member of the gang. He is not a pet. He is his own person. And yes, Shaggy is in a sense responsible for him and they're always together. um he is his own person, and it was really beautiful to see him not relate to, or not pretend like he's like, "I'm not a dog, what are you talking about?"
That kind of Scooby humor is something that Kate and I really enjoyed at the start. In the Boo Brothers, when Scooby Doo, I got to pick up a phone call. I got to make a call. Which call? What kind of call? This one. Help. That like Scooby being stupid. Dog, where? Like I love Scooby Doo comedy. Like he is my favorite part of the live action movies, and it's not close. Where Scooby Doo and his grandma get up, Scooby Doo obsessed with the bunny. Like I love Scooby as a comedic force, and I think in the later movies that I've been watching recently, they've really pulled back away from like using Scooby for comedic effect. He's more of like just kind of a plot device at times, and I'm like, no, Scooby is so funny. He is the heart and soul of this franchise. Give him more comedy. Scooby can come to the QT mic, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I also can't stand the different art styles they've done. I do like the art style of it's not What's New Scooby-Doo, but it's the one that's like leads
Mystery
up to the
Incorporated.
bit Mystery Incorporated. Yeah. I like that. But like these newer ones, like Return to Zombie Island, hate it.
Do you want to talk
Um,
about Return to Zombie Island? Because I've never seen it, and you have.
I do want to talk about it, but you have to come back and I will watch it again. You have to come back. We'll have to come back and
Oh,
do a whole
you
another podcast.
you've already been booked for the sequel since the day I met you.
Okay, wait, so
Like,
you
I don't know
really
when we're
never did
recording.
that?
I've known that because I'm going usually in chronological order of like release date, and this one is like it's one of the more recent ones. It's like in the last 5, I want to say. Let me see. Let me see.
Hate it. Hate it.
So it's
Hate
like
it.
the 7th to last one on my list right now.
Hate it. And I watched the movie too, but you watched the movie as well. You did the new movie where he's
I've
like a
never seen
robot.
Scoop. I've never seen Scoob.
They go into this direction, and I get it. They not Zombie
Again,
Island. Zombie Island, they're
corporations.
corporations. Zombie Island, they piss me off. Scoob, I don't mind Scoob, and I can tell. Not that I can tell, but I can surmise that that is for this generation, and I can
Mhm.
say, okay, you know what I mean. I can say, okay, okay, you know. Not my favorite. It reminds me of Teen Titans Go. I don't like that short. It's kind of like they do them like a pup named Scooby Doo. Everybody's really short and tiny now. Nobody is fully formed. It's all everyone's tiny. It's a tiny thing.
Are you not like a fan of these like tiny Looney Tunes or baby Looney Tunes, Muppet Babies? Like you don't like the regression. You like the progression.
I think there's a well, here's the thing, it's for the kids. So
Mhm.
it's a way for them to reboot it and say these are people who look like you. And so for that I'm okay with. I just don't connect with the tininess of it all. I don't really like I don't because
Quay says you
I
got to
just
be
don't
at
really
least this tall to talk to me.
yeah, the tiny I don't understand. I don't get the now again it made sense with a pup named Scooby Doo. This is when they were younger and Velma ate that series. Velma ate a pup. Have you done a pup named Scooby Doo?
No, I haven't done a podcast on it. I want to clear all the movies first and then reevaluate where I want to go from there because I definitely.
Baby.
Do you want to be the guest for a pup named Scooby Doo?
Velma ate a pup named Scooby Doo. She ate that up. She was the girl. And it made sense that they were, and when I say tiny, like they had little fat arms and little fat hands. They looked like babies. And it made sense, and everything revolved around this. And the mysteries, honestly, were quite more fun. They
What
were
is
quite
your
more
favorite mystery you've ever solved in your own personal life?
fun. Well, let me tell you about the most recent. How about that? How about
Yes.
that? So I was living in Hollywood when I had that, when I was tragically when I was renting. Now I
Mhm.
own, darling. We don't rent anything anymore, darling. This isn't a renter center. But when I was renting in the city of Hollywood, California, I moved into this place. It was a nice big apartment off of Franklin and next to Runyon Canyon, and it was 1850 for the whole apartment, one bedroom, gorgeous views, and big living room, tiny bathroom, nice sized kitchen and dining area, and a little balcony. Um, and so I told the building manager, I said, I'm going to get a car soon and I want to reserve the parking for me. And he said, okay. He goes, I can reserve a space for you because you're a woman and I want you to have a space. Typically I wouldn't reserve it for you, but I want you to, have it so you don't have to deal with the bus and the whole situation. And it's rough with the whole bus and all that. So anyway, um, he just said, and when you get your car, it's just gonna be an extra $100 to park. And I said, okay, cool. That's not a problem. Extra $100 to park. So the way I would do, because I'm an actor and I get paid lump sums, what I would do is I would pay my rent in advance. So I would just pay. It's 1850. Here's $20,000. You know what I mean? Which is insane. Why didn't I just buy a house then? But it's okay. I got the house now. I don't have to be upset with myself. But that's what I would do. I'll just be like, here's
Yeah, be kinder
20,000.
to a
Boom.
younger version of you.
Younger, yeah, let me be kinder to younger to me. But that's how I would do versus like, because like if you get paid, like for example, if you get paid $1,000 every 2 weeks, you can budget your money and you know it's gonna come back. When you're an actor, you don't know when that money's coming back. So I'm just like, take the rent money, baby. So at least I know that that is paid, right? And so that's what I would do. And I put that $100 in there, of course. So the apartment was rent controlled, and I got a mail from um what's the mayor? Karen Bass. Karen Bass said you shouldn't be paying any more than $18.50 to live here. And I said, well, I am paying more than $18.50 to live here, but I mean, I guess because of the parking, I guess that's different. Okay, whatever. Soon after getting that mail, I get a text message from my building manager, Johnny, and he says, "You have to separate the $100 for the parking and the rent. You've been paying it together on the same check, and you need to separate it going forward." And I said, "Well, why?" And he goes, "Because that's just what I need." And I'm thinking, and I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. I said, this is how I've been paying it this whole time. And he was like, well, if you're not going to do it, then you have to give up the parking spot. And I said, you can't make me give up the parking spot. And he goes, yes, I can. Yes, I can. And he goes, just do this, just do this, just do this. I had therapy, Zoom therapy. He showed up at my door and he was like, yes, I need you to separate it. I need you to give me the $100 and da 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 da. And my therapist was like, whoa, that is so aggressive. And she was like, absolutely not. And he told me, he said, if you don't do it, I will have your car towed. I will have it towed. And so I finally said, okay, so what am I going to do about this whole situation? And so I reached out to my agent, who used to be a lawyer, entertainment lawyer. And my agent, theatrical agent, he said, well, the first thing you need to do before you want to call the tenant rights and do this and do that and blah, 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 blah. He goes, read your lease so that you can know your rights. And my lease said, for the price of $18.50 a month, I get the refrigerator, I get the oven, I get the apartment, and I get a parking spot, motherfucker! The parking spot all along. The parking spot was included in the $18.50 rent all along. Karen Bass told me you don't pay no extra money. He was scamming me an extra $100 every month. And I went down to the people who owned it. I tried to go down and contact them. I called them so many times and they covered for him. They said, oh, well, mistakes happen. You just have to let it go and da 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 da. I'm like, I'm not letting it go. He had to refund me all of my money. He refunded me all those $100 for, that whole year or whatever. And they were like, oh, well, it's a mistake and mistakes happen. And I'm like, oh, and also even before all that happened, he also said like really nasty things. He was like, I'm gonna have the police come and do a welfare check on you. I made sure that the cameras are working, so I'm going to be able to watch and see you. And he did all of that. And when I exposed him and when I let his ass have it, I let him have it. I said, you are a sick individual. You are sick. And I exposed you and I exposed your crimes. I was madder than a motherfucker. But I won. And just like Daphne Blake, I will tell this. I will tell
and look
my
at
story.
You now.
I will tell my story. And I have the house and he was a part of the reason, him and all the other terrible experiences I had with landlords. I used to be when I was a teenager, I was homeless and I lived in the LGBT center. And ever since then, I rented and rented, and I had problems with roommate landlords and building managers every single time. And finally, I said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna get a house," and I got a house, and I don't have to answer to nobody
And
except the almighty dollar. And I
yeah,
turn on my Scooby Doo and I watch my Scooby Doo in my house, and
and
I'm
living
just
like Simone Lenoir, you have your own domicile. You can say no to the dogs at the table. You can say you.
not Simone Lenoir.
She a homeowner, baby.
Oh, yeah,
Kitty
yeah.
kitty purr.
Kitty kitty purr.
Um,
Where cat?
so don't go renting from any Johnnies off of Franklin Avenue in Hollywood. That's the lesson of the story.
Read your lease. Read your lease. Now I want
Mhm.
to do the rating before we go. I want to do the
Yes. Well,
rating
no. I
system.
was
Can
gonna
you?
bring that up next before I forget. So the first time you watched it, do you have a recollection of a young Quei remembering guessing who the culprits were? Were you just so captivated and in awe of the whole thing that you weren't even paying attention to playing the guessing game?
So they tell you in the commercial that that the zombie is real, but when you see it, it's a whole different thing. But the zombies aren't the culprit. No, I had no idea at all. No.
All right. Now, do you want to start with the score, or do you want to give your MVP and LVP points first?
Let's do that.
All
Most
right.
valuable.
Quei Tann, of the core five, who is the most valuable player and who is the least valuable player?
Daphne Blake, most valuable player.
I
Eats
love
it,
it.
eats it, eats it up, tarantula. She is she's the reason we're here, you know? And God damn it, they had to lose the tape in the quicksand. God damn it. And the least valuable, it's gonna be so hard because Scooby and Shaggy saved the day. Fred is the reason they're all together. Fred gathered everyone up. And the only thing Velma did, no tea, no shade,
Was lose her glasses?
was
Yeah.
to lose her glasses.
Yes.
No, the only thing she did was she saw that some Simone Lenoir, Miss Lenoir, was not dragged away by zombies. She saw that that there were footsteps, but she still let them down into danger.
Velma Dinkley.
Well, it's giving Mindy Kaling.
Ah!
It's giving Mindy. It's giving Hilaria Baldwin. No, it's I don't want to do my girl Velma. I
But you
don't want
gotta
to do
pick.
my
You can't.
girl.
You gotta pick. You gotta pick someone. And if
I'm gonna have to say because she let them into temptation. She let them into damnation. I'm gonna have to give it the least valuable player to Velma. Why don't
did
you
you
do
think that
that,
was gonna
girl?
be? Did you think you were gonna give the point to Velma when you started this podcast?
Well, I didn't know I was doing that. I forgot about that.
Quay's like, well, I did forget.
I forgot about that. Yeah. No, but I'm not a big Velma person to begin with anyway.
Yeah.
So when she got her own spinoff, I was, you know,
Yeah.
but
Well,
I don't
actually,
dislike them.
I did want to ask you before I forget. Now, we know you as an actress, as an actor, as a stage woman, a thespian. Would you ever dabble in the voice acting to be part of a Scooby Doo movie?
Well, I have voiced. Oh, I almost forgot. We got to talk about one more thing. Oh, all right, everybody. Here we go. So I have already done voice acting for Warner Brothers, actually. I played Fury slash Rosa in Young Justice during the panning.
Ah!
My my pandemic was actually very lit. I stayed working, baby. My
She stayed booked and
pandemic,
busy.
you wouldn't think that there was a pandemic. I was gone with the wind, fabulous.
Like, can get
So
more?
I would, yes. So I would love to, and I will continue to try. I'm going to continue to reach out to people and say, hey, because people often say you have such an amazing voice, Quay. You would be amazing at this. I just don't audition for it as much as I would like to, you know?
Because not just in terms of like just an incredible voice in general, you do have a beautiful, stunning voice. But just throughout the podcast, you've put on a little different affectations or accents throughout the voice. I'm like, get the girl behind the microphone.
Okay.
I feel
She
like
has a face for voiceovers.
Eartha Kitt can never be replaced, but if they ever do another Emperor's New Groove, I feel like you could do an incredible Yzma.
Oh, I would eat Yzma down. Oh, I would eat Yzma. Oh, I love Eartha. Let me tell you. First of all, I love Eartha. Baby, I would love to play Eartha Kid. I look like
Yes,
her, but damn, I would love to play
you would
her.
look great in a bodysuit, like Catwoman. I could tell.
Thank you. So, before we go forward, since we are talking about voice acting, I do want to talk about obviously the character of Daphne Blake touched me so deeply. And she is voiced by Mary Kay Bergman. Um, and this film came out in 1998. A year later, um, Daphne, the woman who played Daphne, Mary Kay Bergman, trigger warning,
Hmm.
committed suicide 1 year after it was the film came out. And that is always so crushing to me. It also reminds me of the young actress from A Land Before Time. When you
Yes.
hear about these voice actors, and you just hear about how tragic, it can be. And I heard, I don't know if this is true, but a little bit that I read into it said that Mary Kay Bergman was upset or discouraged by some of her sessions, her voice acting sessions, that they didn't go well. And she did a lot of work with Disney. She did a lot of work with Warner Brothers, and she also played all the female characters for South Park. But that
Hmm.
was a new show at the time, and they now have multiple people playing those roles. They said nobody could do all those voices like she can, and it's unfortunate. And I know what it feels like to be in the voice acting booth. I know what it feels like to be on set and to feel like I am not good enough. I am not worthy enough. Mary Kay Bergman, if you can hear me in the afterlife or wherever you may be reincarnated, wherever, um, you are more than enough. And your work has touched me and has stayed with me. I just think you're absolutely phenomenal. And I hope other people who are, um, who, if you have a thought of suicide, just know that like it can, give life a chance. Give life a chance. Damn, give life a chance. And I hate to sound like those little commercials or it gets better, but baby, it really does. Life really does. And I look around at my life constantly and I go,
Yeah, and I know you like at least in my podcasting experience, I've been very vocal about like the fact that like I've dealt with anxiety and depression my whole life. I know you've been very vocal about like your experiences, especially like at the mic that we go to,
mm,
and just like it's so profound that her impact is still felt upon these days because she like was a huge part of our childhood. But just thank you for sharing that very touching tribute because I'm sure we discussed it at the time, but it was a rewarding experience to go back and visit this version of Daphne, because I've been knee deep in the Great Delisle Griffin era of Daphne, and I have been for a while. But to just get introduced to this version of Daphne again was really fulfilling and enjoyable. And thank you for those kind words, because it is so tragic what happened. And uh, we all deal with imposter syndrome and like our self-doubt and insecurity, and just thank you for those words, Quei.
Yeah. And fuck the industry. Fuck the industry. It's very much so up and down. It's very up and down. And
Mhm.
so you're in the industry or working to get in the industry, it's okay. This industry is not the end all be all. That's tea.
What
Now,
is the end all be all is Quei's score that she has to give. I'm on pins and needles. Can I guess? Is it going to be a straight 5? Well, not a straight
oh, let
5,
me say it's
because
gonna be
we're
a
the queen.
10.
And this is the QT mic, but so it's a queer 5. I'm not kidding.
A queer 5, right? A queer 5. Yeah. I mean, it is one of my favorite movies of all time. It is one of my favorite pieces of media of all time. And I did have to take a break in between watching it. Um, it is my one of my favorite pieces of media of all time, and a big part of that is the nostalgia. But I'm so happy I got this opportunity to talk about it and discuss it with you, because it is so much more than that. I love, again, how the storylines and the threads pull together. I think the cat, Scooby and the cats, and then the werecats, that was just brilliant. And the ghost writing on the wall, and then Velma fucking up Michelin Wall's wall, and it says Maelstrom, and that parts of the boat was you just of Morgan Moonscar, and then just the alliteration of Morgan Moonscar.
That's
It's
a
a
badass
5
name. That would be a great drag name.
out of T. It's a 5 out of 5 for me. And Daphne is who I want to be.
Um, if you had to guess, how many times have you seen this movie in your life?
I've only seen it. Well, I've only seen it twice as an adult, but I saw it several times as a child.
And then two-part question: are you on Letterboxd? And if so, is this in your top 4?
I'm gonna sign up for Letterboxd right now, and it will be
Just top 4 is just going to be this movie 4 times.
right.
um, yes. Is there anything else about this movie that you want to discuss other than just like the positive feelings? Like, is this now going to be a Halloween ritual for you to like watch it every year? Is there any like scenes that we didn't discuss that you're like, but about this, I have more to say? Like, what else do you want to discuss with this topic at the forefront?
There's a magicness to Lena that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed Lena, this Southern woman who worked for Miss Lenoir. I really thought she was very charming. I really feel like Lena, you know, if we can do redemption, but it seems like Lena is dead. She's been living for thousands of years. Redemption for the colonizers, y'all. No, but she seemed a little brown, didn't she? She wasn't, because Lenoir was very blonde, very white, and Lena seemed a little bit of something in that, huh? I thought so.
I don't think you're wrong. I think she was a spicy white for sure.
It was a little something, yes. So
There's a little ghost pepper in her.
look, pepper, little pepper knuckles, something. And I really enjoyed Lena. She's a big part of this for me. I loved voiced by Tara Strong, and Tara Strong is an amazing voice actress. And she would go on to do Daphne after Mary Kay Bergman.
And she
I
also
believe.
replaced her as Timmy Turner.
Yes. Damn. Mary Kay is the OG baby. Trust and believe. Mary Kay's OG, but yeah, she was wonderful in that, those accents. And just old boy who did the accent for Jocks. I
Jim Cummings, the
just
voice of Winnie the Pooh. Yeah,
really
the current voice of Winnie the Pooh.
T. And then also I know the guy who did Shaggy. He's a who you know him, he's a huge voice actor.
Casey Kasem. I don't know if he was in
Yeah.
this movie. Was he in this movie? Or I want to say he was, but here, let me go
Well, the
back and
guy who does the live action, he's my Shaggy.
Lillard. Yes, yes.
Lillard. So Lillard did this one, and no shades, and he's amazing in it. But I just when I see the Scooby, let me see.
Can we get some shouts to Glenn Leopold, who was the writer of the screenplay?
Very much
Like,
so.
shouts to him. Mark Hamill's in this as Snakebite Scruggs. We didn't even talk about Snakebite Scruggs, the catfish killer.
We did Mona. Shout out to
yeah,
Mona.
you mentioned, but anything else?
But I hate Mark Hamill. I hate Mark Hamill.
But why?
Girl, the Zionism. He fought for the resistance. Mark Hamill.
Luke Skywalker fought for the resistance.
fought for the resistance and want to stand up for the colonizer. Mark Hamill, I ain't got no time for you.
Question for you about the queerness of the Mystery Gang, because this is where I want to end. Do you think they're all queer?
The only one I think is queer is Freddy.
Ooh, go on.
Yeah, just this. not she want to type shit. You better talk about Tara. See, I don't know anything about Tara, so I just know she just do a lot of voices. Felipe just said, "Let me not mention Tara's politics." She's got to say it, but so I only think Freddy is queer. I haven't seen any evidence that.
Is it because the ascot?
The ascot and just all,
Is he a bottom?
Just the bottomness of it all, just the faggotry of it all. It's very queer. It's very queer. I don't necessarily get queer from Daphne or Velma, but that doesn't mean that that's not there.
Daphne's a power top.
Daphne's a power top. Yeah, I mean, she seems really straight to me. But actually, the Velma, now that I think back on it, I go, oh, okay, actually, I can see her being queer because, like you said, she didn't have a lot of connection to men. And then now that I think back on my research about Velma being queer and being a person of color, yes, Velma is queer. That is canon.
The live action one, Linda Cardellini's love interest was originally supposed to be a lady, but the studio was like, no, ma'am, no, ma'am. And they made it a
right.
guy.
Velma is 100% queer. That is true. She's 100% queer. And what's her name? And Fred is queer. Mm-hmm. Daphne, Scooby, and Shaggy, they give me straight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how I feel as well. Like Fred and Velma both give a little fruity.
Yeah, a little. yeah, they give that. Yeah.
Anything else you want to add about this film? This
I just want to thank you for letting me do this.
Of course,
this is a dream.
You're an icon.
Is a dream come true. I hope that I was everything you wanted. We did a Joe Rogan long form podcast.
We don't associate with that man.
But we associate with Mark Hamill and Tara Straw.
Well, can I tell the story about when I was like, when we were at the mall and you were like, boy, you put Rob on the map, and I was like, what? Because you were like, I forgot what you were talking about, how you were listening to how Rob has a podcast, and you were like, yeah, you put him on my radar, you put him on the map, and I was like, no way, like that.
You did put him on my radar.
I've been listening to him since I was 14, so like when you said that, I was like, there's no way that you found him because of me. I refuse to believe.
It's true. I refuse to watch Big Brother because it's so white, it's so cringe, and it's so infuriating when you think about is it who's the black lady from season 3? Is it
Danielle
Danielle?
Reyes. She's gonna be on the
Reyes,
Traitors.
Danielle
Yeah,
Reyes.
she's gonna be on the Traitors.
She's going to eat. I will be watching the Traitors. Danielle Reyes. Now, see, I'm not a Big Brother historian, so, huh?
And Jeremy Collins is one of my favorite Survivor winners. Also, he's
Okay, so I'm not into Survivor.
You will
I'm
be
not,
when I'm
I'm
on the
not.
show, though. You will be watching that season hardcore.
I will be watching, and it's a shorter show. I know that. So, and I did do but you know what I am into? The Even Stevens, the Survivor movie, where it was like, you know what I'm
like
talking
kind of
about?
like the Truman Show.
Right, it was that.
Yeah.
So I am into that. So I can get into to Survivor. But I really hated Big Brother. But then once they did the cookout, that's what put them on my radar. The
Yeah.
cookout and TikTok put
And
Big
Taylor,
Brother
right?
back. No. Taylor was the icing. Taylor was like, okay, I gotta watch this shit. Taylor is Big Brother. Okay?
She's mother.
She's the mother. She is Big Brother. Period. And then I watched Traitors, and then I said, okay, now you're bringing the Traitors lady, Sari Fields, on to Big Brother.
Watch 3 seasons of Survivor. Like, watch Micronesia. I think you would love that season.
Okay, so I've watched the deep dive, but I'll just go ahead and watch it. Micronesia. It's different when you watch it. So Micronesia that's such a name. I hate her son, and I was so infuriated by the winners.
I know about a Lysol. Hate to see him coming.
I was infuriated by what's his name, Jax and Matt.
There's Jag and Matt, yeah, and Bowie Jane.
Jag and Matt and Bowie Jane. I hate them.
Didn't Bowie Jane DJ like DTLA Pride or something this year?
Did she? I would holler. That last little thing she did, she was like, and Matt and Jag, I just want to thank you.
How did you let someone say for the better when you joined the Mafia with Matt and I?
You remember? Oh, that's tea. So I stopped watching because I was so pissed. But I needed to start watching.
Did you like Felicia?
I stopped liking Felicia because Sari didn't like her, and then she started to annoy me too. Yeah, she started to annoy me too, and I was just annoyed. And
I need to send you the photo of my friend AJ when he dressed up as Felicia for Halloween, though, because he ate it up.
Scream. So I am watching recaps of this, but I'm not watching Taryn's recaps. I do think Taryn is a cutie patootie. But you did put Rob Has a Podcast on my radar because you talked about, aren't you a part of the network or something?
Yeah, I've done stuff for the network, yeah.
Yeah, so you introduced me to that. I had no idea what that was. I didn't even watch Big Brother. And so, because that season last year, that was Sari's season. So I was watching that and I was listening to you. And you said Rob Has a Podcast. And I said, I was like, okay, so you obviously own this RHAP and you had your employee Rob on. Didn't you interview your employee? You had your little employee on. And I said, okay, let me check out what's going on. But I'm not I watch Taryn and then I watch Why They Lost. I don't really watch much.
Do you watch Chappelle?
Chappelle. I watched a little bit of Chappelle. Chappelle is a mess, a queen.
I love Chappelle.
The person I love is Pooja.
Puya.
Because
he does the traitor stuff.
I love him. There's just personalities and voices that you just love. And I love him. And the reason I love Taryn is because Taryn loves Taylor. That's really the reason. He loves Taylor.
Who doesn't? Taylor's mother. I love her so much. She's stunning. She made me look better in the photo that we have together.
I love this. I love your fandom. So the way you feel about Big Brother and I guess the the big CBS shows is the way I feel about anime. Like I'm such a fan. Like I will
I didn't
follow
know you were
to
a
the ends of the
weeaboo.
earth. I'm a weeaboo and a Koreaboo.
Ooh, I did not know this about you. We gotta get you on Media Made Me at one point because I want to hear all about like the media that created the lovely person that I have in front of me. Here I'm trying to find this photo of me and Taylor first before.
That I would have to come with so much. And okay, I'll tell you, I'll talk to you about it later because they don't need to hear about all that. That's just business stuff. But I am curious about certain things.
Yes, we'll chat offline, but we gotta get you the promotion time. Anything you want to promote, and I just sent you the photos. That but anything you want to promote. I mean, you've mentioned some of the cool things that you've gotten to do, like How to Get Away with Murder, They Slash Them, but the Equalizer. But what do you want to promote,
Fucking hell.
or just
So
yourself?
promote myself. So the best thing to do if you want to keep up with me is to follow my Instagram at Quei Tann, QueiTann. And I have podcasts that I put out I drop an episode once every 9 months.
It's
I
like
have
a baby.
It's like a baby, right? It's like a baby. I have a podcast called Series Regular.
You
I
just
had a
dropped a new episode.
I did Series Regular. We're talking about immigration and actors immigrating, and it's this really interesting story about just what immigrants are faced against who are also actors. And I had no idea what a green card entailed. Terrifying. Um, I had a podcast called Trainees about two trans women coming together. I think, unfortunately, I'm going to put out the rest of the episodes I have, but I think, unfortunately, that podcast is going to have to end with those canned episodes. But I do plan to make a QT podcast.
Yes.
And it's going to be an amalgamation of stuff. And I just want to do more stuff. But yeah, definitely you're going to see my stand up, you're going to see my comedy. I'm going to be creating content. I just got a lot.
Yes, she stays booked and busy. Like I think I'm busy, but then I look at everything that you're doing, and I'm like, "Whew, where does she find the time for everything?" But because this was not an easy podcast to coordinate because between both of us, we stay booked and busy, and you especially because we're just like social butterflies, always jumping project thing to thing, work to like I don't know, but I'm so grateful that not only you discovered this podcast, but now that we are friends because of the podcast and the QT
We're
mic.
not friends because of the podcast. We're friends because you came to my mic.
Yes. Well, let's give it up for Tangela and Quandel.
Let's give it up for Tangela and Quandel.
Yes. Also, we got to have you on Cultural FAQs at some point.
Please.
Which is
I'm the
podcast.
Q.
Yeah. We'll have two Qs.
Oh, Quandel was the Q.
Yes. Yes. But Cultural FAQQ. Yeah, but I'm so excited that you did this. We'll definitely have you on in the rotation for anything you want to talk about. But should people, if they got to the end of this episode, should they hashtag it if they're tweeting about it? Any specific hashtag that they should do? Hashtag Hilaria Baldwin.
Hashtag Hilaria Baldwin. Hashtag, okay, I was going to make a joke and I was going to say, if you're tweeting, you hate trans people, you hate people of color, because Elon Musk owns it. But then my friends will say, and I don't promote this, but my friends will say, you own a Tesla. No one's perfect.
Hannah Montana said it best. Nobody's perfect. I gotta work.
Nobody's perfect. I gotta work it. Okay, I have to work it, baby. But
Yes.
yeah.
You can follow me at all social media at What the Fleep, and go follow the Brazilian Dragon on Instagram. That's where you can keep up with everything we're doing for Brazilian Dragontober. Quei, this was a phenomenal time.
Thank you.
Of course, from myself and my boy Scooby-Doo.
Oh.
Until next time, everybody, hop into the Mystery Machine. We'll go on to our next adventure. Obrigado for listening. Goodbye.
Take a shot every time you hear me say I own a house.